Remember the first photo you ever took? Chances are it was a Kodak moment. Kodak wasn't just a company, it was a cultural icon. At its peak, the company controlled nearly 90% of the US film market and became synonymous with photography worldwide. For over a century, it captured our most cherished moments: birthdays, weddings, vacations. But today, the name Kodak is little more than a footnote in history. What happened? This is the story of how Kodak, the king of photography, created the technology that would define the future, but in a cruel twist of fate, it became the catalyst for their downfall. How did the pioneer of innovation fall behind? And could they have saved themselves? Well, let's find out. Kodak's story begins in 1888 when George Eastman founded the Eastman Kodak Company. Eastman revolutionized photography by simplifying it. Before Kodak, photography was an expensive and complex process. But with Kodak's box camera, anyone could take pictures. It was easy, affordable, and accessible. Kodak's innovations didn't stop there. By the mid-20th century, the company controlled nearly 90% of the US film market, a staggering level of dominance that positioned Kodak as a true industry leader. Their near monopoly not only gave them unparalleled market power, but also cemented their brand as the go-to name in photography. But beneath the surface, the seeds of its downfall were already being sown. In 1975, a Kodak engineer named Steve Sasson developed something revolutionary: the world's first digital camera. The device used a CCD sensor to capture images and stored them digitally on a cassette tape. It was clunky and rudimentary by today's standards, but it worked. Sasson was excited about the potential of this new technology. But when he presented it to Kodak's management, the response was underwhelming. According to Sasson, they said, "Well, that's cute, but don't tell anyone about it." Kodak wasn't interested in disrupting its own business. The company relied heavily on the massive profits from film sales, which at their peak accounted for nearly 70% of its revenue. This dependency made Kodak hesitant to embrace any innovation that might jeopardize its lucrative film empire. It was like inventing the car in the age of horse-drawn carriages, a world-changing idea they chose to hide. Are you enjoying this content? Well, please consider subscribing and liking the video to help our channel grow so we can bring you more such stories. It would help us a lot. Now back to the content. Kodak wasn't just a photography company, it was also a powerhouse of innovation. Over its history, the company filed thousands of patents. These included groundbreaking technologies from roll film to digital imaging sensors. But by the late 20th century, Kodak's patents became more of a safety net than a springboard for growth. Some of Kodak's most notable patents included the digital camera sensor patent, which became fundamental to digital photography, the JPEG compression algorithm, which is still widely used to reduce the size of digital images, and various patents on image processing, digital printing, and even smartphone camera components. So rather than leveraging these patents to build its own digital empire, Kodak chose to license them to competitors. This provided short-term revenue, but handed others the tools to dominate the market. Competitors like Sony and Canon invested in ecosystems around digital photography, building stronger consumer and professional loyalty. It was like giving away the blueprints to your castle while trying to defend the walls. In the 2010s, as Kodak was nearing bankruptcy, the company began aggressively enforcing its patents through lawsuits. While Kodak won some cases, the settlements didn't provide the financial lifeline it needed. After filing for bankruptcy in 2012, Kodak auctioned off many of its most valuable patents. The sale brought in over $500 million, but by then Kodak was no longer a major player in the industry. Kodak finally embraced digital cameras in the late 1990s and early 2000s, but it was too little too late. The market was already dominated by brands like Canon and Nikon. Then, the next disruption arrived: smartphones. Smartphones didn't just replace cameras, they made photography more convenient than ever. Integrated cameras meant consumers no longer needed a separate device to capture life's moments. Kodak had no answer to this revolution. Decades of dominance had unraveled in just a few short years. The company tried to pivot to new markets like printers and patent litigation, but it was too late. Kodak's failure wasn't just because it lacked innovation. It failed because it didn't act on it. The company was blinded by short-term profits and couldn't embrace the change it had pioneered. The lesson here is simple: companies that resist change risk being left behind. Even giants like Kodak are not immune. Kodak's story is a reminder that success is fleeting. Innovation is not just about invention, it's about action. And while Kodak may have created the digital camera, its inability to embrace change sealed its fate. What do you think? Could Kodak have saved itself if it acted sooner? What companies today are facing their Kodak moment? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of innovation, failure, and success.